Today we will be explaining the aspects of our working prototype created for Wash U's MEMS Department Senior Design class. The purpose of this project was to simulate an integrated product team experience by completing a mechanically focused project in teams of 3. Our team consisted of Elijah Kessler, David Robinson, and Maya Wong. Together, we went from a conceptual phase to a completed prototype of our project, the dry ingredient dispenser. We came up with this project with avid home bakers in mind. Our project statement is as follows. The dry ingredient dispenser is a device created to make baking easier. This device has 4 storage containers to hold dry ingredients such as flour, sugar, baking soda, and salt. These storage containers have attached measuring and dispensing devices. All 4 ingredients flow through a funnel and into the mixing bowl, thus providing the user with pre-measured dry ingredients for baking. This device will incorporate 3 important qualities in unison: containing, measuring, and dispensing. We first began by 3D modeling all of our separate parts in SOLIDWORKS. What you are seeing here is an assembly drawing of our entire device put together. Our device is made up of several different components as well as 4 different types of material. The different types of material we use consist of wood, steel, acrylic, and PLA. The large containers and all of the lids were made out of acrylic. The slides were made out of steel. The dispensing units and small container were made out of PLA, and the frame for the entire device was made out of wood. Our parts were fabricated using a 3D printer, a laser cutter, and a bandsaw. This is our final working prototype. As you can see, there are 2 large containers that hold the flour and sugar, and 2 smaller containers that hold the salt and baking powder. The larger containers can hold up to 5 pounds of ingredients, whereas the smaller containers can hold up to 5 cups of dry ingredients. As you can see, the device is easy to refill. To refill the large storage containers, the user simply must take the top off, pour in their ingredients, and put the top back on. For the smaller device, the user must take out the holding in place mechanism to take out the smaller container. The lid pops off easily, where the user can then refill their small container. After refilling the container, users can easily put it back into its appropriate spot. We will now describe our 5 different performance goals. Our performance goals stemmed from customer needs interviews as well as our own personal criteria for making this project successful. Our first performance goal was to make sure that the empty device weighed less than 20 pounds. This was for portability reasons and to ensure that if the user wanted to move the device from their countertops into their cabinets, they could do so with ease. As you can see from the images, our empty device weighed just under 20 pounds. With our device weighing about 19.5 pounds, we were successfully able to meet our first performance goal. Our second performance goal had to do with the dimensions of the device. We wanted to make sure that it was no larger than 20 inches wide, 15 inches deep, and 20 inches tall. This was due to the fact that the device would be placed on a user's counter and we wouldn't want it to take up all of their counter space. As you can see from the images, the height of our device was around 25 inches. The width of our device was around 13 inches, and the depth of our device was around 9.5 inches. Our second performance goal was not met due to the fact that the height of the device exceeded 20 inches. The width and depth of the device met the appropriate dimensions, but the height did not. The height was 5 inches too tall. Some possible future upgrades that we could do to meet this performance goal would be to make the large storage containers shorter, or we could make the dispensing and measuring units shorter and wider. Our third performance goal was to make sure that the device will measure the dry ingredients with an error of less than 10 grams per cup and less than 0.5 grams per teaspoon. This was to ensure accurate measuring. We will now demonstrate using our device to measure out a fourth cup of white granulated sugar and using a scale to determine how much error there is. It is important to note that 1/4 cup of granulated white sugar is equivalent to 55 grams. We will now place all of the sugar that was dispensed into a measuring cup on a zeroed out scale. As you can see, the total weight is 56 grams, and like I previously mentioned, 1/4 cup of sugar is equivalent to 55 grams of sugar. Therefore, there is an inaccuracy of 1 gram. We will now demonstrate how accurate our 1 teaspoon dispensing device is by dispensing a teaspoon of salt into our mixing bowl. It is important to note that 1 teaspoon of salt is equivalent to 6 grams. As you can see, we place the dispensed salt onto a zeroed out scale. The total weight comes out to 6 grams. Our third performance goal was met. The 1/4 cup measurement was off by 1 gram. This was less than our goal of 2.5 grams. Additionally, our teaspoon measurement provided an accurate amount of dry ingredients. Our fourth performance goal was that measuring and dispensing all 4 ingredients would take less than 2 minutes. We will show this performance goal by dispensing out the ingredients necessary to make sugar cookies. First, 3/4 cups of sugar will be measured into the dispensing device. We will then measure a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of baking soda. Next, we will measure out 1 cup of flour. We will then dispense all of the ingredients into the mixing bowl. As you can see, the flour did not flow out of the dispensing unit. Our fourth performance goal was not met. This was due to the fact that the flour did not flow. The flour did not flow because it was too compacted inside of the container to be dispensed. It is clear that if the flour did flow, all 4 ingredients would be able to be measured and dispensed in less than 2 minutes. Some possible future upgrades we can make to meet this performance goal would be to add a vibrating motor into the flour storage container. This would mix up the flour and ensure that it could flow through the container and into the dispensing unit. Our fifth and last performance goal was that after dispensing all ingredients, there will be no more than 10 grams of mess or cleanup. After dispensing the necessary ingredients for sugar cookies, you can see here that there's very little mess. We will sweep up this mess and measure it to determine how many grams of mess it is. As you can see here, the measuring cup and mess together weigh about 23 grams. The measuring cup alone weighs 21 grams. Therefore, there were only 2 grams of mess to clean up. After demonstrating that there was only 2 grams of mess left on the table after dispensing all of the ingredients, it is clear that our fifth performance goal was met. Overall, we were able to meet 3 of our 5 performance goals. Although we didn't meet 2 of our performance goals, we didn't completely miss the mark on them. In the future, if we incorporated a vibrating mechanism into the flour container and shortened the height of the large storage containers, we would be able to meet all 5 of our performance goals.